What up, everyone? Back for another video, another monthly review. Right on time because the boxes for next month are now showing up. What month is this? I think it's May. It's hard to tell with these boxes. They show up so sporadically, but either way, here they are. We got 5 boxes here, and some of them are quarterly boxes, which is good to see, but let's just jump right into it. The first box, Geek Fuel. They've been adding these little notes in there to explain what's in the box. Not really necessary, but a nice touch, I guess. Not much in here. The usual, like, 2 to 3 items. We got a reaction figure, which is pretty standard for this box. We almost always get a reaction figure. This one's from Teen Wolf. So I'm assuming they have some kind of partnership with Super 7 because we see these figures all the time. That goes for about 20 bucks. Then we got a random pack of basketball cards. This is the 91-92 Series 1, and that goes for about 5 bucks. Then we got some pins, or they call them pins. They call them pins, but these are actually buttons. What's the difference? Well, buttons look like buttons. They're circular, and they look like buttons. They also have the little safety pin thing that goes across it. That's a button. A pin, on the other hand, has the pin going straight out the back, much like a push pin or a thumbtack. Pin, button. So they call them pins, but they're actually buttons. And for this, it was hard to get a real value on it. There were people listing it for like 10 bucks online. No one's paying that. No one's going to pay that. No one wants to pay 10 bucks for these. Honestly, I would value it at like $1. This is usually things that people give away for free at like conventions and things like that, attached to a business card, because they're so cheap and easy to make. So that's my value is $1, but if you wanted to buy them, you'd have to pay 10. So value-wise, somewhere between $1 and $10. That brings our value on the low end of 26, on the high end of 35, which this is about a $25 box. So on the low end, which is where I'd value it, you're barely getting what you paid for. High end, a little bit more than you paid for, but really, realistically, would not value it towards that. So for that reason, I'm giving this box a 4 out of 10. Hasn't been good for a long time. This used to be one of the best boxes. I think this was the best box for a while. And it just seems like it's barely hanging on like by the grit of its teeth. And it seems like this company's going to go down sometime in the near future. But that's just my opinion. We'll see. I'll stick with them till the end, like I always do. Next, the BAM box. Something sad about the BAM box. They just had an announcement, and the BAM box is shutting down. They're closing their doors, which is really surprising to hear, especially because most of these boxes seem like they're failing. Most of these boxes seem like they're going to go out of business, and they probably should have already. The BAM box was one of the few that didn't seem like that. It was like probably one of the only ones, besides Culturefly, that not only didn't seem like they were going out of business, actually seemed like they were still growing. So it's really crazy to see that. I don't blame them, because as I've said a million times, the collectible market is on a heavy decline right now. It's going to get lower and lower and lower. So I don't blame them for wanting to close their doors. I'm kind of assuming maybe that's why. Maybe they see the same thing that I do, that the collectible market is taking a pretty big dive. So maybe they're just taking it preemptively and trying not to lose money and kind of bowing out with all their chips, taking the chips off the table before it gets really bad. So in that sense, I get it. But in the other sense, they just recently, this year, started this new box with all these new revamps and stuff like that. It seems like every few months they're adding new things and building and building and building. So it is shocking that this company is going out of business. Because I've been with them since day one. I had the very first box, the very first art print. I have been with them for about 10 years now. So it's just so crazy and so sad to see like that we're not really going to get autographs and stuff anymore. So very, very surprising, and it makes me think, like, if this company's going out, what chance do these other boxes have? So that was my little spiel there about how upset I am. But, past that, let's get into the box. Alright, first, autograph by Peter Green. So the only thing he's super known for is this character on the mask as the villain. He's done other stuff, he's been in other things, but not super notable, always just kind of side characters. This autograph's going for about $35. Honestly, more than I would have thought, considering he's not that well known. But yeah, 35 bucks on that. Then we got one by George Vega. George Vega. So this is a flash print. They stopped doing the whole signature thing. This is numbered. Out of 1150, there was an alternate one where the colors are switched. But this is going for, people are listing it for about $10 online. No one's paying that. No one ever does, with the exception of like one that was like last month or the month before. The prints just never sell, and I've been telling them for a while they should switch it out, but it seems like they're going to go out in style and just keep this to the very end. So the prints are just hardly ever worth anything. If you wanted it, you'd have to pay 10, but value-wise, it's hard to say when no one wants to even pay 10 bucks for it. Next, we got a figure, Boo from Super Mario. It's actually good quality. It's very sturdy. It's not like cheap plastic or anything. It's actually pretty heavy too. Very well done. That's actually going for about $15. And then lastly, we got a pin. This was The Mandalorian. There's a glitter variant. So this one's, I'm going to go for about $10, but honestly, it's not really selling for that either. The glitter variant, which is the rare one, that's being listed as well, and also not selling for as cheap as $6. So, I think, again, that's because that collectible market is in decline, that no one's buying anything right now. It's a horrible time to be selling stuff. Woof, what are you doing? Get out of there. Hey, Woof. Stop it. I see him eyeing those. I just got these new figures right here, and there's little figures, this little Wolverine, and this little Silver Surfer right there, and I see him eyeballing it, looking for a new toy. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Yeah, I see you. I see you. Anyway, the pins are really not selling, but I think it's fair to give it at least a $10 value, because they are nice quality pins. It's just a horrible time to be selling anything, which is so unfortunate to see. So that brings our value on the low end of 61, on the high end of 70. And this ends up being about a $50 box, so a little bit more than you paid for, which is good. Quality stuff, not super great, not super well-known autograph. Print, no one ever cares about it. Pin was at least good, and the figure is good quality, but there's not much to it. It's very simplistic. So for those reasons, I'm giving this month's box a 5.5 out of 10. So there we go. BAM box. So, more things about the BAM box, though. They're going out of business, but this isn't the last box. I should have said that before. They said they're going to do 6 more months, which is crazy, too. Like, they usually don't give that much notice. Usually when companies say they're going out of business, they're just like, we're done. So, I'm assuming it's more on the end of what I said before, if they were just seeing the trends and trying to bow out gracefully, versus them losing money. I don't think they're going bankrupt or anything, because they do get lots of business. I don't think that's the reason. And if they were going bankrupt, they probably wouldn't do 6 months more of boxes. But the problem with that is they're doing anniversary boxes, which sounds good in writing, but what that means is a bunch of duplicate items. Anniversary boxes are always like the best from the year, aka things we have leftovers of that didn't sell, so we're going to put it in the box and give it to you again. So I'm hoping and praying it's not a bunch of duplicate items, but it kind of seems like it's going to be. But either way, I've been with them every box since they've been around. I can't bail out now, so even if they're going to be crappy boxes for the next 6 months, I'm still going to be here. So we'll see what happens on next month's box. So that was BAM Box. Next, we got Loot Crate. And speaking of companies that seem like they're going to go out of business, they don't even have the printing on there. They have their own boxes, which are so simple. I'm sure they're not expensive. It just has Loot Crate in white writing. It looks exactly like this with the writing on it, but they're just not even putting in effort anymore. It's just so sad to see. Again, not surprising, but it is what it is. First off, we got a shirt. And I actually already have this shirt. Where did I get it from? Loot Crate. Where is it? It's right there. See that pile of shirts right here? I think it's literally right where my finger is. I have this shirt from like 3 months ago or something like that. This exact shirt. So this just goes to show that they're just putting little to no effort into things. And they also put this little card in here, because they stopped putting description cards in years ago, where you have a little QR code and you scan it and you see what's in the box for any descriptions. Go ahead and scan this. No information. So I'm not exactly sure. 2 boxes showed up at the same time, so I'm not sure which is May's and which is June's. I have no idea, because you scan this and there's 0 information. The last box they have up there was February of 2023. That means March, April, May, June, and for the foreseeable future, absolutely no information, which just proves my fact they're putting random shit in here. They can't put anything on the website because everyone's getting different stuff. Everyone's getting a different shirt that they probably already have, which is very unfortunate, and it just seems like this box is going to go out of style. Another thing about this box, they just increased the price. It went from a $35 box, now it is a $40 box. They keep giving us less and less, they keep lowering the quality, and upping the price. When they weren't giving us boxes for like that 2-year period, they kept increasing the price. Now they're giving us less items, and they keep jacking up the price. I almost feel like this is their strategy. Like they just want to keep charging more and more because they don't want to admit failure. So maybe they're just going to keep increasing the price till everyone just finally says enough and cancels all their orders. And then I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of because this is just crazy. Well, moving on with the items. The pin's actually really cool. Superman pin, 85 years. This goes for a decent amount. Value-wise, like 12 to 15, but a lot of them are selling for higher than that, depending on if you want to wait for an auction or not. But 12 to 15, I think is fair. Then we got a mug from RoboCop. This is actually pretty nice, too. These two are the items that seem like they're supposed to be in there. So you got RoboCop, and then his dome just kind of opens up like that. So it's kind of like half mug, half cookie jar. It's very odd. Like, why would you want a lid for a mug? So very random and weird, but still cool. The quality of it's really nice. That goes for like $20 to $22 is what people are listing it for on the low end. But again, not selling for that amount. I think it's worth like closer to like maybe 15 to 20 if you had to ask me honestly. People are listing it for that higher price. No one's buying it because no one wants to pay that much. And two, again, things just aren't selling. It's a bad time to sell. So that brings our value on the low end of 44, on the high end of 52. I'm not sure how much this box costs because I'm not sure which month it's in. I'm not sure if it was a $35 box or a $40, but either way, I'm kind of trying to take all the information in, and I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. First of all, only 3 items. We should have 4. We really should. And the shirt was a duplicate. A score on the shirt, by the way, I only give it a 5 out of 10. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. And then the mug was cool, but again, not that cool. Pin was cool, but not worth like 2 items. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I'm shocked that this company is still pushing on and still trying to make business. Again, I think the strategy is just keep upping the value of things till people quit enough to where they don't have to admit failure. Because, again, this is owned by NECA. They're not going to go out of business. But this branch of theirs that they bought out, I just don't know what's going to go on if they're going to keep putting out shit products. All right, on to the last 2, which are actually big ones from Culturefly. These are quarterly boxes. This is the Friends quarterly box. Now, I thought I had only gotten 1 box, and that was affirmed because the last time we saw this was in December. So we should have had a box in around March. I didn't, so I assumed, okay, I must have just ordered 1 box and not a subscription because these are for sure quarterly boxes. But here they are. Here we are in June, and they both showed up, the Office one and the Friends one. So for some reason, they just like took a break for 6 months. I don't know. I don't know what the explanation is. I haven't checked if I've gotten charged. I should, though, because it's a lot. It's like a $60 box. Anyway, here's the items. All right. There's a description card in here somewhere, if I can find it. Here we go. First, the shirt. This shirt is actually very cool. It's an embossed shirt. It's hard to tell by the camera, but this actually has texture to it. It's not printed on. It's like a business card where it's like embossed or embeveled. I can't forget which one's which, but it actually has texture to it, which is very rare. I'm giving it the standard $12 to $15 value, but it's hard for me to do that because it's so rare. You never see this just in general, let alone in boxes. That is a really rare thing. This is something that Culturefly is really good at. They do things outside the ordinary that are very high in quality. So it'll get 12 to 15, but I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as far as the score because this is the first time and probably the only time we'll ever see something like this. If you can't tell, it says Central Perk. I know it's hard to tell from the lighting, but that's really cool. I don't know how comfortable it's going to be because it's very rough right there, but still, that's just like such a out-of-the-box thing to do and really, really cool thing to do. So I really like that. Now, we're going to go through the other items, but it was very hard to value these because there's pretty much no information. Same with the Office box. If you remember the video from December, same situation. Like, you can buy this box, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one buying it because there's not like a single thing for sale, any information anywhere. So a lot of these next few items are going to be opinion-based. First, we got a little figure, very tiny. It's just of Gunter standing on a mug. I always thought it was Gunther, by the way. I've watched that show a million times, and it always sounds like they're saying Gunther, but apparently it was Gunter. Am I crazy? Am I the only one that thought that? Like, I for sure thought it was Gunther. I've even watched episodes since then, and it sounds like they're saying Gunther. But it's actually Gunter, and I actually looked it up. Yeah, Gunter. So, very strange, but either way, people were listing this for like, there was one person listing it for like $35, which is crazy. So the one other person that bought the box listed all these items for stupid prices. 35 bucks, ridiculous. No one's going to pay that. Honest value, for me, I would value it like 10 bucks. I think is fair. Probably less than that, to be perfectly honest. So that's why there's going to be a wide range on all of these, because there's my value and then what you would have to pay if you wanted to buy it separately. So $10 to $35 range. Next, we got some magnets. Nothing super special about them. Just two really big magnets. Same situation. Someone listing it for like $50, and it's like, you fucking nuts. Like, what are you doing? Why would you think it was worth that? Honest value, again, a generous value, like $8. Again, probably worth less than that. There's only two of them in there. Next, a coaster. So we got a little service sign, and it's basically a coaster. Yeah, coaster mat. It's rubber. It's embeveled. It's got some texture to it. But the funny thing about some of these items is there's really nothing to do with Friends other than the sticker on it. This is a sticker, by the way. It's not on the actual mat. The mat itself just says service with an arrow. And there's not even like a cardboard sign or anything to indicate that it's from anything. So this is where they go wrong here, because it's just absolutely generic. It has nothing to do with Friends whatsoever. It's just a sign that says service. Again, someone listing it for 40 wants 40 bucks for it. No way. Generous value, 10 bucks. Again, probably lower than that. This seems more like a $5 item, but just being generous, 10 bucks. Then we got a pin. This is actually pretty cool. This has got some texture to it. Again, embeveled and embossed, all that stuff. It's an enamel pin. Really well done. This, again, being listed for 30, crazy price. Value-wise, I would put it at like 10, maybe 12. It's a nice pin, actually, double pin. So that's not too bad. Then we got a reserved sign. Same situation. Literally nothing to do with Friends. A piece of plastic with a piece of paper in there that says reserved. Like, some things they were so creative on. Did they just waste all their creativity on the shirt and have like zero creativity left over for the rest of the box? No thought whatsoever. A sign that says reserved. There was a coffee shop in the show, sure. But put something in there. Put Friends in the corner. Something to indicate it. If I put this on display, people are like, why do you have a reserve sign? I'll be like, oh, it's from Friends. And they'll be like, is it? They never had something like that on the show. It just mildly indicates something that would be at a restaurant. And again, it's not even a restaurant. It's a coffee shop. They wouldn't have a reserve sign. So very, very weird. Again, someone listing it for 30. I would value this at $5, and again, that's being generous. This is like a $1 item. It's literally just like a plastic holder with a printed piece of paper on there. Completely useless and worthless. Now the last item, we got a little mug and saucer. Now the quality on this is actually pretty nice. I'll show you the picture on the side, so you don't have to waste time pulling it out. This actually says Friends on it. Way to fucking go. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was just plain color, considering the quality of all these other things. At least they wrote it on there. That's all they had to write. The Friends logo on all these items. Put it in the corner. Who cares? It takes 2 seconds to add that little emblem on there. Why didn't they just do that? So weird. So, someone's asking $45 online for that. I don't think that's crazy price, but not reasonable. Honest value for me, $20. It's nice. It's actually made of, like, I don't know if it's porcelain per se, but it's that kind of material where it's not plastic or anything. So it's good quality, but again, at the end of the day, it's still just a saucer and a mug. This seems like something you would win at like Dave & Buster's or something like that. So I think a generous value on that would be $20. So that brings our value on the low end, $75, on the high end, $225. And again, don't even think about the high end, because that's all those crazy prices. Go by the low end value, which is $75. And again, that's being very generous. If I was more realistic and more harsh, the value on this would probably be closer to like $50. So in that sense, you're getting just a little bit more than you paid for. The shirt was really cool. The mug and saucer's cool. The little figure I like. Magnets were okay. The rest of this stuff was fucking useless. It has nothing to do with Friends whatsoever. It could have gone in any box. Any box, literally any box, and it just would have made about the same amount of sense. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, but even that's pretty generous score. You did get some good items in here, and you got a lot of items, but a lot of them are useless. The ones that were in here were at least semi-good, and you got decent value. I feel like if you tried to sell these things at the values I suggested, you could get that, so I think that's fair. But again, just kind of being a little bit generous, because I like Friends. So that's the Friends box. 6 out of 10 on that. On to our last box. This is The Office. And the theme on this one was Schrute Farms. Now, theming on this one was much better. Trying not to knock shit over here. Oh, this box is huge. There we go. All right. So first, got a shirt. There we go. Schrute Farms, and it's the quote from the show. I don't know if you could see it. Do you seesaw? Of course we seesaw. Mose and I seesaw all the time. Funny line from the show. I really like it. So it's actually a cool shirt, and the quality on it's very nice. They do nice quality clothing, like jackets, shirts, very good quality. So it'll get the standard $12 to $15 value, but as far as a score on that, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's very nice. I like it. Then we got, let's see what we got here. We got a soap dispenser. I'll take it out and show a picture. You don't have to watch me unpack this, but it's basically a little beat, and it's kind of like porcelain. Again, that porcelain material, so it's very nice in quality. Same situation here. There's just no... The other box had at least one person listing in because one other person bought this. This box had nothing. No listings anywhere that I could find, so I'm just going off opinion. There's no frame of reference for it. I'm a pretty good frame of reference, though. Like, I have been doing this for a long time, so I think I'd be pretty accurate. But at the same time, don't take it too harshly because I'm just kind of guessing. Soap dispenser. There was one person listing this. It was listed for $23, which I don't think is crazy considering it's nice and porcelain. But if I had to give an honest value, I'd get like $15 is a pretty generous value on that. So that's what I would range that. Then we got a glass. Now this is actually of Recyclops, which again isn't of Schrute Farms. So which I thought was kind of weird. I thought the theme was Schrute Farms, but now it seems like the theme is Dwight because that has nothing to do with Schrute Farms. It's Dwight. Either way, it's a cool glass. It's actually pretty big. It's like a whiskey size glass. So good quality and it's made of glass. So I would value that probably like $12 to $15. Pints and glasses are so common and they're not that expensive even if they're made of glass. So I think $12 to $15 is a fair value. Then we got a big old blanket. And this has just, I think it's just, yeah, Mose and Dwight with some beats on there. And then it has this texture. Again, no information on there. Going off what other blankets for that go for. And it's usually around $20 to $25. People like these fleece throws, I think they're called. And it's very nice. It's very soft, good in quality. The print is nice on it. So that's all good. So I would value that probably about $20 to $25. Next, we got some pillowcases. And we actually got two of them. Or is it one? No, it's two. So similar to the throw, this is actually pretty nice. It's very soft, very good quality, and it's got a good design on it. The pillowcases, again, I'm just guessing, I would value them at like 10 to 12. They're nice in quality, but usually they come in twos. That's pretty common. And honestly, it could go for more, but it's so hard to judge with these kinds of pillowcases. I don't know if people would specifically want Schrute Farms pillowcases. It's very obscure as far as things go, but I think $10 to $12 is a pretty fair value on that. Then we got a hat, the Beats Motel. This looks similar to the hat Dwight was wearing in that episode. It didn't say this, but it's kind of that trucker style hat. These are about as cheap as they come. This is the cheapest style of hat, the snapback with only the design on the front. So for that reason, I'm only going to give that hat about $12 to $15 value. If it was like fitted or it went all the way around, the value would be slightly higher. But as far as hat goes, these are just very common. And again, I think that's pretty generous value. Hats like this often go for a little bit less. Last item is a pin. What the fuck is it? Oh, here we go. Right here. And the funny thing is on the card, the description, it says Scrantonicity enamel pin. But it's Schrute Farms. So this one was in theme, but they said the wrong theme. So something's going screwy in that company. Someone's not paying attention. But value-wise on that, 12 to 15. Pins of good quality almost always go for around that. So I think that's fair. So value-wise, on the low end, 93. On the high end, 122. Once again, wouldn't value it any near that high end with this little information. Much towards the lower end. And again, a lot of these values I was being very generous on. This ends up being about a $60 box, so you get in close to 50% more than you paid for, but realistically so, I'd probably value it even lower than that. But for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. It was good. It was decent quality. It's still a very expensive box. At least everything was in theme, and for the most part, things made sense and were good quality. Not like the Friends box that had random crap in there. It was still pretty good stuff. still pretty good value, still good quality. So overall, I think that's fair to give it a 6 out of 10. I might even go as high as a 7 on that if I really think about it, because it was a pretty decent box. So yeah, that was The Office. Man, I really blew through these boxes. So that was all the boxes of May. I'm pretty sure it's May, but again, don't quote me on that. It's so hard to tell these days. So those were all the boxes, and who knows? Again, I'm still just like shell-shocked from the BAM announcing that they're closing down. That is so crazy to me. And it just makes me think, like, what's the future of this channel, honestly? I'm still all about collectibles, obviously, but the subscription boxes are really what's holding this channel together. I really don't have much content past that and really don't know what to do. So it seems inevitable that these boxes will all be gone. Honestly, probably within the next year or two. Like I've been saying, every 5 seconds, the collectible market is in decline. People are saying it's at an all-time low. It's like, no, it's going to get lower, and it's going to keep getting lower. We're just entering a recession. We're just in the beginning stages of this recession. Even when we climb out of this recession, which could take years to do, it's going to be a long time for the collectible market to climb back up. It kind of has to be almost completely destroyed in order to be built back up. That's just how it is. Things just don't survive that long. Even companies like Funko might be risking bankruptcy at some point because the sales are going to go down so much. So if you have stuff you want to sell it ASAP, because every passing day there's less and less people buying. As you saw with these boxes, less people selling stuff. Even the ones that are listing it, they're just not selling. It's a bad time. So if you want to get rid of stuff like you have to, do it as soon as possible. That is my advice to you. If you don't have to sell, don't. Now is a terrible time. You're going to waste a lot of time and energy doing it. I guess it couldn't hurt to list stuff if it doesn't sell, but either way, not a good time to invest. Don't buy things to sell things because it's just an awful time. So I'll stick with them. Like I keep saying, I'll be with these companies till the bitter end. I was there day one. I'll be there at day final, whatever you want to call that. So it's sad to see, but that's just how the market is. And maybe I'll still be around when this market comes back once again. Decades from now. I'll be an old man with a gray beard. So I'll look forward to that day. Other than that, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know in the comments. If you have any advice, you see items you like, whatever. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you all for watching and supporting. Love you all. Peace.